I get it scrolling through endless listings. You find mixers that look slick on the photo, promise club-ready performance, and then you hook them up at home only to discover the layout feels cramped, or the effects lag when you really need them. That's the kind of disappointment that makes you second-guess every purchase, especially when you're spending a few $100s on gear that's supposed to elevate your sets. I spent a few weeks digging into the Pioneer DJM 750MK2, comparing the user manuals, watching how other DJs set it up in their rigs, and reading the handful of reviews that actually talk about day-to-day use. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the DJM 750MK2 slots itself right in the middle of Pioneer's mixer lineup. It's marketed as a 4-channel club layout that brings a lot of the features you see on the flagship models down to a more approachable price point. The real question is whether that translation holds up when you're actually mixing live, moving tracks on the fly, or even just practicing at home. In my testing, the biggest thing that stands out is the way the 4-channel configuration feels when you have 2 decks and 2 external inputs like a sampler or a microphone. The channel spacing mimics the larger club boards, which means you get that familiar DJL without the extra width that can make a small booth feel squeezed. If you're a bedroom DJ who mainly uses 2 decks, the extra 2 channels might feel like dead weight at first. However, I found the 2 auxiliary channels to be a surprisingly handy spot for looping a drum machine or slipping in a quick vocal cue without having to reroute anything on the fly. The layout is intuitive enough that you can drop a laptop into one of those channels and keep the other 2 dedicated to your CDJs or controllers. For someone who's building a hybrid setup, say, a CDJ plus Serato configuration, the extra inputs are a genuine time saver. One of the headline features is Pioneer's Magvel fader, which promises smoother crossfades and less wear over time. In real use, the fader feels light enough to glide quickly during rapid transitions, yet it still gives you enough resistance to make precise cuts when you need them. The key thing I noticed is that the fader's magnetic feel doesn't translate into any audible hiss or noise, even after several hours of continuous mixing. That matters if you're layering bass lines from 2 sources and need the transition to be seamless. It's a subtle improvement over older, purely mechanical faders, and it's something you'll notice more when you're pushing the mixer hard during a marathon set. The built-in beat effects are another major draw. Pioneer includes a decent selection of effects like echo, flanger, and reverb that can be routed to any channel. The depth of control is where the DJM 750MK2 starts to separate itself from cheaper mixers. You can tweak the parameter, tempo, and feedback on the fly, and the effect latency is essentially nil. In a practical scenario, I used the delay effect on a vocal track while the bass line kept rolling, and the result was tight enough that the audience didn't notice any lag. That said, the FX panel is still a bit crowded, so new users might need a quick run-through to locate the exact knob for the parameter they want to adjust during a set. Pioneer also bundles free DVS, digital vinyl system, support, which means you can hook up timecode vinyl or CDJ-style controllers and have the mixer talk to rekordbox directly. For DJs who already own a rekordbox library, this eliminates the need for a separate sound card or an additional software bridge. I tested the DVS with a standard timecode vinyl setup, and the latency was unnoticeable, essentially the same as plugging a USB controller straight into the laptop. If you're on a tight budget but still want that real vinyl feel, the free DVS is a genuine value add. Speaking of the sound card, Pioneer equips the DJM 750MK2 with a studio-grade 24-bit and 96kHz interface. In practice, that translates to a clean, transparent output that doesn't color the tone of your tracks. I ran the mixer through a pair of studio monitors and then through a club-sized PA, and the audio remained crisp whether I was playing a low-frequency techno line or a bright vocal pop track. The advantage here is subtle but important for DJs who also produce or record their mixes for streaming. The mixer can double as an audio interface without needing a separate box. Now, let's talk about the downsides that can bite you after you've already opened the box. The first thing that trips some users up is the lack of a dedicated standby button for each channel. On larger club mixers, you can mute an entire channel while keeping the fader position intact, which is handy when you're juggling multiple tracks. With the DJM 750MK2, you have to lower the channel fader manually, which can be a small but noticeable interruption if you're in the middle of a mix. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something to keep in mind if you